Great morning, great afternoon, great evening. Hey love, hey love, hey love. I am Jessie C. Love, also known as Teacher Love, Coach Love. Wonderful Wisdom Wednesday to you. It is June 19th, 2019. My mom is officially 30 days clean and sober. I know I'm late, but I'm always on time. There's always a reason for everything. Thank you to all of my viewers that have been with me for almost 2 years, whether you're new or somebody shared me with you. Today, I'm going to talk about vapes, vapors, and it just made me think about Biz Marquis' song, You Got the Vapors, and I was like, man, it wasn't this deep back then, or at least I didn't know anything about it. I'm not making any medical claims to cure, mitigate, diagnose, treat, or prevent any health issue, disease, or disease within the body. Consult your medical professional as needed. Do your own due diligence and your research before you partake in anything that I present or you stop utilizing anything that I present. Hey, T. Cole, thanks for speaking and tuning in. Those of you that have been with me the last week, as I've been telling you, talking to my nephew, realizing that he's not learning what I was teaching my students. And as I've said many times before, if you depend on the public school system to teach your child everything, you are doing not only your child a disservice, yourself. So my nephew and I have been talking about drugs, and with it being my mama's 30th year clean and sober, over the weekend we had a celebration for her, my Uncle Marcus, and my Uncle Michael P. for 30, 27, and 25 years clean and sober from drugs and alcohol. And during the meeting, we had a countdown, what's known as a countdown, where we started like 35 years, see who has how many years. And, my nephew stood up when we got to 11. And I didn't say anything. I was just like, when he stood up. I was like, he recognizes he's 11 years clean and sober. He's a child. Elementary school students, 5th, 4th, 3rd grade. And in some cases, you got kindergartners bringing drugs to school. You got kindergartners not knowing what they're messing with, bringing alcohol to school. So elementary school students are not exempt from being touched, so to speak, with alcohol and drugs. I've seen it. Okay. I'm so grateful I'm not in that right now. Yes, indeed. I used to be upset that they pushed me to retirement. But looking at everything that's going on, nuh-uh. Even when I coached basketball, my sons, my daughters, I had them doing essays on drugs and alcohol because I didn't want them getting involved with it. At least not while they were with me. Now, what you did afterwards, fine. But they did research, and it opened their eyes. They didn't expect that coming from a, basketball coach. And neither did their parents. But I was like, when they're in uniform and in the gym, they're mine. When they with you, they're yours. In that uniform, on the court, they're mine. So, this is the next health epidemic amongst teens. Flavored vapes. I just called it vapors. Over 2 million users, 2018 alone. Now, vapes or vapors, they were designed to start helping adults kick the habit of nicotine to get away from smoking cigarettes. If you don't know, there's over 2,000 different chemicals, including rat poison, in cigarettes. Now, if they've changed the ingredients since the last time I did research, I don't know. I don't get involved with it. I just know when I did the research on it, I saw rat poison. The vapes were designed to help the adults kick the habit. However, they've made so many different flavors with this vapes and vapors. There's over 7,000 different flavors, and they make it look appealing to the youth, to where, I don't know if you've ever seen the little candies that have like, it's almost like a nipple at the end, but it's liquid. And they come in like cotton candy, gummy worm, gummy bear, chocolate, bubble gum, all these different flavors to hook kids. And one vape, or one, I'm just going to call it vapors, okay? I'm interchanging between vapors and vapes. But the flavored vapes, the nicotine that's in them, and there's no way of really measuring because you just put the liquid in. By inhaling or smoking or however, they kind of suck on it and then they blow it out. And a lot of teachers won't know because it's so flavored. They may all of a sudden start smelling mango, thinking that, maybe it's like a perfume from, the store that a girl would get, or, something like that because of the flavors. Teachers that don't know won't know. You don't really see the smoke because students are so secretive with it. It's like getting away with something. They know they're not supposed to have it. And for teachers that are unaware, it's like this game. I'm doing something that you have no idea about. All of a sudden, you just smell some lemony fresh or mango or strawberry or some. There's 7,000 different flavors for this. They say that with doing that, it's like they take like a dropper and put it inside of the vapes. I don't have one myself. That is equivalent to a pack of cigarettes when a teen finishes it, which means that's 20 cigarettes. Basically, they're smoking 20 cigarettes in one vape episode, so to speak, depending upon how much of that liquid they put inside of their container. And the containers are so discreet, you wouldn't know what they are. That sounds like a military plane. Nicotine, they say, can produce headaches, mood swings, difficulty learning, anxiety, irritability, memory loss, and dark moods, as well as brain poison. With the youth, their brains are not fully developed until about 25 years old. So with nicotine and the way it affects the brain and the development of the brain, you got to think about if a lot of these kids starting at 12, 13 with these vapes, thinking that it's harmless, or they're just, inhaling water. They're not inhaling water, it's nicotine. So they're not only messing up their brain function because 12, 13, 18, 20, whatever, your brain is still growing until after 25. So up until 25, brain development is still going for the youth. Oh my goodness. And they don't know that. It's camouflaged. And if you're not really attentive to your child, you may think they just have an attitude. They're just irritable. They just got angry all of a sudden. No, you might want to check. They could be using a vapor or vapes. They have peppermint, they got coffee, they got pancake, and they have kitty names to entice the youth. Companies are getting slick enough to even give free samples to the kids because social media, they got tricks that they're doing when they inhale the vape. And how adults used to, I think we even did it with the little powder cigarettes, those that had the candy and the gum cigarettes that had the little powder in it. And we would blow the smoke out and try to make like a circle ring because we saw some adults doing it. We saw them making circles and then blowing more circles, smoke circles. Well, the kids are learning how to do those tricks too. And they're putting it on all different areas of social media, getting all the likes and everything else, hiding it from their parents. Very discreet, very secretive, but it's a lot of teens that are doing it. Oh my goodness. And it was wild because the companies, they see that and they start sending free demos. So you don't even know your child has it. Your youth has this nicotine, these vapes. Those who don't use it, it's just like drugs. They get considered or they get bullied or taunted as being an outsider because they're not into the vapes. You have to talk to your children. Athletes are not exempt. Honor roll kids are not exempt. The amount of nicotine, again, in one vape pod is equivalent to a pack of cigarettes, and there's 20 that I saw according to what I was looking at. I don't know for sure. If you smoke, well, then you know how many there are. As I said, there's over 7,000 flavors. The vapes look like flash drives. In some ways, they look like pens. They're very discreet. Some of them, and what I ended up doing, because I was looking at online, like, I don't have any of them, but there's some that look like USB ports and USB drives. They're this small. And some of them are smaller. They're like this. And oftentimes they're colorful. And all they do is take the top off, get their liquid, pour the liquid in, and then there you go. There's some that I saw that are kind of like this is a whiteout. They look like this. They were shaped like this. And then there was some, this is a light. My nephew's light. But they were shaped like this. Very discreet. And then there were a couple that looked like pens, to where you wouldn't know that it was a pen, that it wasn't a pen, that it was a vape. It looked just like a pen. They just pop the top off, put their liquid in, and there you go. And then the kids were like, our parents don't even know that we're vaping. We could hide it in our sock. We can hide it in our underwear. We could hide it in a hat because they're so small. And they felt like it was a game. We know we're not supposed to do it, but it's something that we're keeping away from our parents. I was like, wow, I'm so glad I talked to my nephew about drugs. What they're trying to do is hook the young generation by making them crave more and more. It's like they make it more potent so that they add more to it. And the more nicotine there is, the more chance there is for them to have an issue. San Francisco and California has the strictest flavored tobacco ban in the country, in the U.S. They said that 1 out of 4 high school students are vaping. 4 out of 5 started with flavors. They started as early as 12. The teen brain is more susceptible to addiction up until like 25, which means that eventually it's like a gateway. They'll go into smoking regular cigarettes. They already had the nicotine anyway. It's just that now it's not flavored. And who knows? They may find a way to start dipping cigarettes just to get the flavor. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of treatment. You have to actually seek substance abuse treatment, monitor your child's behavior, notice if they start having frequent headaches and nausea, and all of a sudden their memory loss isn't there. They say that the e-cigarettes can also deliver marijuana and other drugs. So it's not just the liquid form of the vape. They can also put marijuana in it. And if you don't know, they're making all these different flavors of marijuana too. Basically, trying to hook the kids. The e-cigarettes have, according to what I read, cancer-causing chemicals. And it says safer doesn't mean safe with these devices, especially being that the devices can blow up. They can blow up and burn your child's face, burn your child's chest, their arm, whatever. And it ain't no like 1st-degree burn. The examples I saw were like 3rd-degree burns. Blowing up lips and, teeth were out. I was like, it ain't even worth all that. Some of the other possible effects I saw with flavored vapes and the youth, they said brain, lung, and heart damage. Cancerous tumor may develop. There's an increased risk for addiction. Many use them in addition to smoking. Mental and physical health problems may develop. I even saw something that said that it wasn't even FDA approved. And I was like, wow, they haven't even approved it yet. Interesting. They say that smokers die 13 to 14 years earlier. A lot of smokers look a lot older. They say that once hooked with it, you have a higher concentration of carbon monoxide, nicotine, tar, and the heavy metals that are normally found in regular cigarettes in vapes. Few ways to get away from that. Oh my goodness. I don't know where that is. But they said talk with your children. Limit their exposure by having a smoke-free home. You are the example. So if you're around, or we got adults around smoking weed thinking it's no big deal, that's the example that the children are seeing. And you really won't be able to tell them nothing when you're smoking that, thinking that there's no harmful effects to it. You're still smoking and putting it in your lungs. I had a pamphlet, dang it, I don't know where it is, where it was like how to talk to your children, your teens, about alcohol and drugs. And right now I don't see where it is. Either way, have a talk with your children. Ask them, are they being pressured about it? Because as I was listening and reading all this, it made me reflect back to Dr. Miles Monroe, who said that basically before he was a teenager, he already had his vision and his plan for his life. He already knew he didn't want to have premarital sex because he didn't want to take a chance with having a disease or producing a baby that he couldn't afford. He also knew that he didn't want to get into drugs and alcohol because he had a vision and a plan for his life, and he knew that doing that would interfere with his lungs. It would interfere with his organs. It would interfere with his capacity to think. And I was like, when children know exactly what it is they want to do, not what parents want them to do, but when they know, it helps guide them away from something that's detrimental. Now, I've been real open and honest with my nephew. Like, yeah, I'm not a drinker. I do test something like, oh, what's that? But it's not something that I would do. And it's not something that I would have him do. And I was like, nah, I didn't do any of all that when I was into sports and everything else because I wanted to be at my optimal level. And for a while, I was different. Everybody else was drinking and smoking. I waited until my older age to start acting stupid. So, we are working on keeping him clean and sober. Right now, he's proud that he hasn't dipped into any of that. And he's around people that do. He's around youth that do. My nephew's going into the 6th grade and he's already talking about kids at school who are already involved in dealing with some kind of drug paraphernalia in elementary school. It didn't surprise me because I've dealt with it myself as an educator. That stuff don't surprise me. It didn't. No, at first it did, but now, once you've experienced it, it's like, okay, gotta look out for you. Anyway, talk to your children. And you know what? Go through their belongings. They're your kids. Yeah. They still youth, teens, especially if they're anywhere living with you. Let me see what it is that you have. You need to be able to pull the drawer out and see if that's really a thumb drive. See if that's really a USB port or USB portion versus something that can be taken apart and some liquid put into it because they're very discreet. Look at their pens. See if they're really pens. See if they're really pencils. Even the ones that you take the top off to put the lead in, you need to look at them because these tobacco companies are being real slick about what they're doing, trying to hook the kids. And I wouldn't have known about it if I hadn't looked at it and started talking about it. Yeah. So, that's it for this segment. I do appreciate your time. Thank you for tuning in, joining me. And if you know anything about it, by all means, post about it. I'm just like, you got to keep up with what's going on. Because as soon as we think we know something, they're 2 steps ahead. And we still thinking way back here. But they on this level now with something different. And something that looks like a toy and it ain't a toy. Start taking that stuff apart and looking at what your kids are doing. Recognize when they have some different behaviors going on. Different attitudes. You know, all of a sudden they snappy on you. You know, it ain't just an attitude. It's like, okay, we may need to sit down and have a talk. What's going on here? And also monitor who they're hanging around. Yeah. even gonna go into all that, but my nephew and I have been talking, and it's like, oh, nah. If I can help it, no. So, make it a lovely day, not just for you. Find someone else and make it a lovely day for them too. And by all means, parents, check what's going on with your children. Because we all know the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And doesn't care who it is, and what gift, and by what means. They may think that it's a Tic-Tac or something, and somebody done gave them something. So, yeah. Be mindful. Love you. And I'll see you the next time that I'm live. Wednesdays right now are what I'm doing. So, Creator says the same. I will see y'all on June 26th. Love you.